Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, and this is the show where scrappy founders, rebellious visionaries, and business misfits pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build something extraordinary from absolutely nothing. No trust fund, no fairy god investor, just grit, duct tape, caffeine, yeah, and that dream. We're talking about the wild, unfiltered ride of turning chaos into cash flow and ideas into impact. So buckle up. This is no Disney movie, but there might be some magic. Let's face it, even Elon started in a garage. So without further ado, let's get to the next episode. Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns, presented by C47 Digital Studios. Bootstrapped Unicorns, it's Josh Pies. I am back with another episode, and I have the honor and privilege of hanging out with a friend of mine who is also the vice president of the BNI group that I'm in. I'm the president, I guess the grand poobah, I don't know. And I'm the loudmouth cheerleader. He's the one who actually keeps us all in line and in order and makes sure things actually run right. While I'm running around breaking things, he's fixing things. So this is Sean Richards, and he is the owner of Tier 1 Pro Inspections. He has a team of people inspecting homes and small and medium commercial properties. So if you're about to buy something, you want to make sure there's no ghosts in the machine, you call his people. If you're about to refinance or do some type of thing where you might have finances and insurance and all these things happening in your world, you want to know what's in the box that you own before you get into that, he can help you sort that out. So Sean, thank you for coming on the show. And if you're okay with this, I want to talk about your business. I want to talk about your military experience in the transitioning time. And anything else that you got on your mind is kind of fair game.
Sure. No, well, thanks for having me, Josh. Always fun hanging out with you. And yeah, definitely BNI is a lot like the military, just herding cats. So it's a natural skill set that I have now. So.
It's actually funny. So when I was asked to be president, and we had a leadership team that I was taking over, but they were done, right? And somehow we retained Dan. Like, that was kind of a win. Dan's a bookkeeper, and so keeping him as secretary treasurer just kind of made sense. Marcus was very done, and I said, look, I'll take the president position as long as Sean's willing to take the position. and you hadn't been offered that officially yet. And I remember being asked why, and I was like, if he can keep an entire crew of people in the military straight, then he can definitely handle us. But I don't want to handle that part. And so they're like, okay, we get it. Yeah. So far it seems like it's working.
It does. It's worked really well. And I think it's a good kind of snapshot of the skill sets that the military really sets you up for, or provides you, just through experience, and how that translates into the business world. I think there's a lot of parallels. So if you were successful in the military, it is even easier to be more successful in the civilian world, I believe.
That's interesting. How many people were under your command at like the largest moment?
For my career, I did just over 20 years in the Army, and kind of took different paths while I was in, but at the most I had about 180 people under my
That's a lot of people.
So
yeah. What was your MOS at that point?
So at that time I was a senior infantry sergeant. So I was a first sergeant at that time for a headquarters company. I ultimately retired as a sergeant major on the special operations side. So kind of like I said, kind of bounce around, but had a lot of unique experiences.
And without going into it, I told you we wouldn't go deep, but special operations, is that what I think it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I had a kind of a unique opportunity later on, kind of the last third of my career. And I felt like I could contribute a little bit more to, the Army before I got out, and it worked out for me. And it actually was, the best, part of my military experience was, my sunset years. So for sure.
Interesting. All right. Well, and like I said, we're not going to go down that road, but I wanted to be able to connect some dots here. And so that's kind of an early dot. And then the later dot is Tier 1 Pro Inspections. So you've got this thriving business. Describe kind of the nature of the business as it is right now.
Sure. So you kind of summarize it already. We specialize, we're a multi-inspector company. And we focus primarily on residential properties and light commercial properties. So if you're getting ready to purchase something and you just don't know what you're buying, we're the guys that you call to come in and help you make that informed decision. So,
and a lot of insurance conversations too, right?
A lot, especially here in Florida. Insurance is always the hot topic. So that is also another revenue stream for us, is specifically focusing on insurance related inspections.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So 4 points and wind mits. Do I have that right?
Your 4 points, your wind mitigations, everything that's going to qualify you for insurance, but also qualify you for savings on your insurance.
Got it. Yeah. So other than being well informed, what makes you like allowed to be an inspector? Or is there like DBPR certifications, or like how do you get the right to do what you do?
Sure. So it is regulated. Florida is one of the states that home inspection industry is regulated. So you have to hold a license through DBPR, and it's a 120-hour course plus additional certifications that you need to hold that license. So relatively low barrier to entry. From my experience, based off of what you actually need to know to be successful, to be good at it, right?
Right.
So
how do you bridge that gap then?
Repetition, experience, and just kind of consistently staying, being a student of your profession.
Yep.
That's something that's very consistent in the military as well, is just always learning, being a lifelong learner. That translates very well into this industry as well, because you just constantly have to stay on top of the new things that are coming out, new codes, et cetera, what's compliant, when it was compliant, et cetera.
Yeah. So why this industry? You're talented. You could have led in a lot of industries. Why this?
There's days that I ask myself that.
Fair.
For sure. So in my transition time from the military, so, right about my 19th year, I just knew it was time. It was time for me to, focus on retirement. It was a mentor of mine when I was younger in the military. I was like, hey, how do you know when, if you're going to do 20 or 25, whatever, like what's your deciding factor there? And very wise individual. He just looked at me. He's like, you'll know it. He's like, you'll feel it when it's time. And man, so the whole time I was like, I feel good. I'm having fun. And then it just hit me this, 1 year, I was just like, you know what? I think I'm ready to focus on something else.
Wow.
So then I started looking at, hey, what do I want to do, or what do I want to be when I grow up? Right. Been doing all this fun stuff in the military. It took me all over the world. I was unfortunate, in my timeline is that, I joined 90 days before 9/11 happened.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that.
9/11 happened. And then it was, everything, right? You had Iraq invasion in Afghanistan, back and forth between Iraq and Afghanistan. Then in my later part of my career, it was Syria and everything else that, was going on in the Middle East. So very, very fast paced 20 years. And I think that's what kind of, got me to a point where I felt a little burned out.
Yeah, of course.
So in my reflection period is that, what do I want to be when I grow up? I really started looking at, where do I want to be, down the road, retired out of the workforce. And I was like, I want to be able to have, I want to be, I have multiple investment properties. I want this, and that was my long-term plan. And I was like, well, if I can find an industry that supports that.
Okay.
Right.
I see the logic.
It kind of just enables that. I was like, I want to be able to walk into a property and be like, buy it or don't buy it. That was my thought process. Without having to hire an inspector, et cetera, right?
So just real estate investment inspired thinking this direction.
Thinking in this direction, right? So
yeah. Why did you target real estate investment? Where was the inspiration behind that?
It was just something that I've always been, focused on. Is just kind of building that long-term passive.
Right. It's a phenomenal call. I totally agree with it. But I think there's a lot of people who would have maybe been afraid of rental properties just based on that relationship of having to manage doors.
True. But I think that is manageable, right? Mm-hmm. I think the hardest part of, rental properties or investment properties is just getting the right tenant in the mm-hmm. property.
I agree.
But once you have the right tenant, it's relatively simple to control and maintain. And then once you get to a certain volume, then you definitely want to outsource to, property manager, et cetera.
Right.
So that's ultimately what really got me looking at this industry. I actually looked at appraisals first, and I was like, well, maybe that's, something I want to get into. I quickly, ruled that out. But
I did appraisals.
Yeah, it's not what this cracked up to be. So I was actually on a targeting team in Syria, and it was right when COVID was ramping up. So our operations kind of slowed down. So I was just on the web, researching like what do
in Syria.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Just trying to figure out what's going on, or like what avenue I could go down. And I kind of just stumbled across like the home inspection industry. And I started just running. I'm a numbers guy. So I started running some base numbers. I was like, man, you can make decent money doing this if you do it right. So after that rotation, I came back stateside, and the military actually has a lot of really good transition programs, as far as, making sure that you are exposed to industries that you may not have had the opportunity to work in yet, but you're just interested in it. So they have internship programs. They have all these Skill Bridge. They have all these other programs that you can really leverage to get exposure into other fields. So given my background, I could have easily walked into, a nice federal job, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And so during, when I got back from that rotation, and I was like, hey, I want to do an internship. And I spent, 3 weeks working for a company, up in DC, and working in a very specialized environment. And was it interesting? Yes, but I was also living out of a hotel for 3 weeks, and I was like, I don't want to trade one thing for the other, right? We were always gone from the family.
Dare I ask what specialized environment means?
It was just very specific training, for different entities, but.
Yeah. And forewarned everybody, there was a couple of things I knew where we were going to be like, oh, that's secret. Got it. Okay.
Exactly. But I realized, okay, hey, like I don't want to just trade apples for apples, right?
Of course.
And so that's when I opted for a second internship, and I was in essentially a business 101, brief that the military provided. And the person that presented was actually, he had retired. He got out of the military, started a brewery, grew that to a, very sizable, I think it was number 2 brewery at that time in Georgia.
Wow.
Sold that, and then went on to, into another business endeavor. Well, he was presenting. So this guy literally started his brief, was just like, hey, like, take out your notebooks. I'm just going to give you the answers to the test. And for the next hour, I'm just scribbling down, all his advice, just being like, hey, when you set up a company, do X, Y, X, Y, and do it this way. And here's why. Nope. It was just, he already did the legwork. So it was just, copy paste at that point. So his last slide, as usual, is always like, hey, if you ever have any questions, let me know. So of course his contact info there. So I called him that night. I was like, hey, this is my concept. Here's my idea. I'm getting out. I'm thinking about leaning towards the inspection industry, which is a 180 from what, I was doing.
Sure.
And he didn't skip a beat. He's like, I think this is fantastic. He's like, I know a guy. And so he put me in contact with a multi-inspector company in North Carolina, and reached out to that owner, was like, hey, you need to reach out to Sean. And
also a vet?
He was a vet. So I think he did, 5-7 years, something like that, got out. He got into the brewery industry, built it, sold it, did really well, and then started an inspection company. And I was like, well, how do you go from a brewery to
very different industries?
Right. And he like turned his laptop, and he's like, here's why. And he was just the numbers. So I was like, okay. I was like, you have my attention. So I got in contact with him, and his name's Mike Ratkowski. He owns Atlas Inspections in
Hi, Mike.
North Carolina. Fantastic individual, very just business savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out, or when we connected, I was like, hey, let me come intern with you. The program I had at the time I had 6 months of internship I could play with, right? You could do a couple here and there. So I had at that time like 5 months remaining, and I was like, I'm all in. I was like, I'll set up your ladders. I'll do whatever, I just want the OJT, the on the job training, right? Of, what it is to run this and be successful at it. So I would shadow him in the morning, and we would, go crash at the brewery that he sold. And we would, spend a little bit in the afternoon, just kind of like business 101. Like, hey, these are the things that make you successful on the inspection side. So it was a crash course in business. It was a crash course in inspections, the actual technical piece of it. And concurrent to that, I was completing my licensing requirements for Florida. So I was still living in North Carolina, but I was getting ready to take the Florida State exam at that time. So fast forward, fantastic opportunity with him, working with him and his team, kind of seeing how a multi-inspector company runs, how he does business, and then seeing his software, seeing all everything behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
Huge advantage to a lot of, other, companies starting out. So I was able, because of that internship, because I was able to leverage those programs that the Army does offer.
Yeah.
I left, North Carolina in July, and 30 days later, I'm turning on hey, we're open for business in Florida.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And so timeline wise, you were out of the military for how long before you're turning on the business in Florida?
About 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, turning on a business is one thing, because I've started a lot of businesses, and there's, all right, I've filed some paperwork. I've got an LLC. I've got a logo and a name. Yeah. I set up a website. I'm in business, but it doesn't mean I have customers. Sure. So 30 days later, you've got a business. Where do you find revenue?
That was something I was unprepared for. Right. So one thing that the military does not teach you is networking. And, that's how I ended up in a networking group before, I met you. Is
that where you met Doug?
That's where I met Doug.
All right. Yeah. Doug, the top hat Spence. Everybody say hello to Doug.
But so, I quickly realized that, you have to have multiple lines in the water.
Yeah.
Right. So, with clients, they're all at different, points in their decision cycle, purchase cycle, et cetera. So it's like, where are you going to catch that fish? Right. So we got I kind of joked with people my first year, but I feel like I have a grad degree in Google ads right now. Cause I was just like, hey, I can figure this out. Right. Yeah. And that was my concept. Yeah. As I launched the company, I was like, I want to know kind of everything about the company. That way, when I outsource it, I know if someone is trying to take advantage of me.
Phenomenal.
So I built my own website. I had the time to do it. So I was just like, yeah, I'll figure this out. Did I build it right? No, I've hired someone since then to fix it. But it gave me enough understanding of, the importance of SEO, et cetera. A good, You
have a manager's understanding of it.
Exactly.
It's kind of the McDonald's way. Have you followed how you can own a McDonald's franchise?
No.
Yeah, it's very similar. I'm a millionaire and I want to own a McDonald's. They say, okay, sign this document, give us some down payment so we can see that you're real. You can't own anything yet. Now, the one down the street from your house, you're going to be the janitor. You're going to be the cashier.
Yeah.
You're going to be the person at the window. You're going to be the fry cook. You're going to put together hamburgers. You're going to be the assistant manager. You're going to be the manager. By the time you're done through all of that, they go, all right, you sure you want this? And then you can buy a location. Yeah. And then after a certain benchmark and a certain level of performance, they'll consider offering you a second one, but you better be a good owner manager of your McDonald's. They don't care who you are.
That's smart.
It's really smart.
I think it's
yeah. So you put yourself through that on your own.
True. And, at the time it was cost savings, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, I want to be able to I want to keep the barrier to entry as low as possible. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we ended up launching the company for, maybe $11,000, right?
Oh, wow.
All in tools, everything. I was set, ready to go. But it taught me a ton, right?
Yeah.
So, going back to Google ads and all these, where are we finding clients from, especially when we first started out, it was direct to consumer advertising. That was our,
how'd that go?
I got lucky. How did it go as far as finding clients?
So Google AdWords and that whole Google SEO conversation, there's a lot of charlatans out there not doing well. We have a mutual friend in Joey who is very good at it. And so there's some people who are really good at it. But, so you spend 11 grand, you're 30 days out of the military, you're figuring out Google on your own because you're self-reliant. There's a high probability that even the best intentioned, really smart person is not going to find their pathway with Google.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sensing that you at least got one customer.
Oh, it brought us a lot of customers.
Wow.
So, within 90 days of launching, I'm looking at, my wife, Sarah, and like, we need to hire like right now.
Really?
Because I got flooded with business. Part of the, majority of that was direct to consumer advertising, with Google ads, etc.
So homeowners are actually reaching directly out to you?
Yes. So, I mean, it's too easy. So, someone's like home inspector, Winter Springs, whatever, wherever you're at, to target that specifically. And if you target it correctly and in the right way, you can keep your cost per clicks down very, very low.
What was your acquisition cost then?
So at that time, about 25 to 35, depending on volume.
$25 to $35 for a customer who's going to transact at least $200.
At least, yeah.
At
a minimum, $200. So it just really it opened my eyes on like, okay, hey, I need to get smarter on that.
Yeah.
It allowed us to bring in more, customers that way. But then also we realized, hey, you need to also, leverage social media, and we need to leverage in-person, face-to-face networking, right? Relationship building.
Yeah.
And that's what I was not prepared for, right? I'm more of a, introverted, I would say extroverted and introvert. I can be extroverted when I need to be, but
I have seen it firsthand.
As a as a business owner or as an individual, I'm very much just an introvert. So getting out into a networking environment and just essentially trying to start one, we didn't really have a network here, my family at all. We had our family, but we didn't have business relationships. So just getting out and getting our name and introducing and building trust in our name was something that, one, is still ongoing. Two,
that'll never end.
Yeah, it never ends.
No.
But just something I highly underestimated getting out or in that business transition.
So did somebody go, Sean, you can't stay on your computer playing with Google all day. Like, do they say, hey, buddy, stop Googling yourself and then send you out the door to go figure out networking? How did you become aware?
No, it was somebody, it was a mutual friend. It was actually someone I hired. I hired someone to come out to our house at the time to, do some work. And they were like, hey, have you ever, been a part of like a networking group? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I got the old invite, and, and I saw
you got suckered in.
I got suckered, but I saw the potential, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, okay, hey, this could be good, right? And I saw it as just another line in the water. And then within about a year in that type of networking environment, it wasn't necessarily BNI, it wasn't BNI. Similarly structured.
Yeah.
But it was, I felt like I hit the ceiling of that very quickly. Like there was no more business coming out of there.
Right.
Then
and I think that's the difference with BNI is because we've got this kind of command structure.
Yeah.
There's longer value because you have to keep playing the game or you're removed.
Yeah. I like the accountability, right? The military is really big on accountability. And even as a senior leader in the Army, that, accountability and individual discipline, that's the name of the game.
Yep.
Right. It makes or break anything that you're doing. So taking that mindset over into like the business world was just a natural transition for me. And then being able to, kind of see my own limitations or what was limiting us as a company. And then, being able to make tough decisions at times to be like, okay, we need to branch out and do other things here. But yeah, it's been a journey, going from, starting out. I mean, we're in our 4th year of business right now.
Okay.
And I think we're at like 750 plus like 5-star reviews. Like we have 4 inspectors working for us. We're discussing whether to hire another one right now. And
what a great problem to have.
And we're hiring, a new office manager currently. So it's like, it's all these little things that get you to where you want to be in scaling, et cetera. But it's been a journey. And in hindsight, I don't love the inspection industry.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's, I don't mind it. The numbers are good.
Sure.
But also what I realized that like my passion or what like really, gets me thinking or gets me interested is just business ownership. Right.
Right.
So that's where I'm at now. It's like, hey, is this something I want to do long term? Do I want to evolve this into something a little bit different that we can offer more services, et cetera?
Sure.
And that's what I really enjoy about it is that one, the decision you own everything. You own the decisions, you own the failures, you own the successes, right? And that's what gets me going.
I like that. If you loved the industry too much, it easily could be that you become the worker in your business. You don't own a business, you own a job.
Yeah.
And, the true entrepreneurship journey is to grow yourself out of a job.
Exactly.
Right. And then you make different decisions, do I sell this business? Do I scale this business? Do I franchise this business? So I have multi-locations. What's my new challenge?
Exactly.
Is it new lines of services? And, in your industry too, with home inspection, I'm sure there are other lines, but there's also lines that could be competitive with your ideal referral partners, and you don't want that. So it's this judgment game of where am I adding value to my customer base? Where am I not stepping on my referral base's toes?
Yeah, exactly.
And what a cool chess game to be a part of.
It really is. It's definitely a chess game.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy. It's like, what lever do I need to pull or push?
Was that a surprise for you when you realized that? Or did it just feel like, oh yeah, that's me?
No, I think it was after about a year. You mentioned challenge. One, like my whole career, I was always chasing the next challenge. So getting into the business world was the next challenge for me. Then like the first year, I was like, this is pretty easy. And then I was like, all right, let's scale it up. Let's start adding employees. Let's start doing the tough stuff. And now we're at that point again. Where it's like, well, do we continue to scale, or do we start looking exit strategy, evolving, whatever, so whatever that looks like. But yeah, it was surprising, I think. In hindsight, it wasn't, right? Or it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Just given the, my military experience and proven experience at a organizational level, right? Where, you're looking at not just the tactical piece of things, but you're looking at, strategy, and then how am I going to get all these individuals moving in the same direction, all, thinking the same thing and saying, hey, this is what we need to get done. That was what I really enjoyed that in the military. I really enjoyed organizational leadership. And then I have enjoyed building that in our company as well. Is just, creating a good organizational culture. So
what's your culture tactic for a domestic operation like this?
Culture tactic, define that. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, so you've got a personality yourself, but your business has a personality. I mean, when you're talking about organizational leadership, that could be everything from empowering your people to have enough rope that they can hang the whole business and make decisions on their own, to finding a way to build a culture where they feel ownership, even whether they have that or not, expressing the why of what you do. I mean, there is every business. I mean, there could be 10 inspection company owners standing in a row, and I bet every one of them has a different why, and personal why, but also, company wide why. And I'm just kind of curious, like, how are you living this expression of organizational leadership? How are you involving your team? How do they feel important and empowered? Like, how do you guys do what you do?
Sure. I think, just military experience, plus, business experience is that, if you want to be efficient, right? I want to be able to provide efficient service for our clients, a smooth transaction or efficient process for everyone that's involved, us, our inspectors, our clients, and our agents, right? Everything just needs to move, smoothly and efficiently, and keep everyone smiling.
Yeah.
So that's our, there's a time to be serious, but, even, all our communications to our clients, we try to,
dude, they're hilarious. They make me very happy.
But it makes you want to open emails from us, right?
Yep.
And that's what we want. So we try to keep it a very smooth and enjoyable process during a very stressful time for our clients. For my inspectors, I really focus on autonomy, right? I want them to feel empowered to make their own decisions. Really good book out there called The Speed of Trust. I don't know if you've
Haven't read it.
that.
That's great.
Stephen Covey. It's all about highly efficient, highly effective organizations, right? And you can only operate at the speed of trust. And so I want to be able to, I want my inspectors to know that they're trusted to make, the decisions, right? We give them the left and right limit, and they have the ability to, escalate things or de-escalate things based on their expert, opinion on what they're observing. And then there's always candid feedback or candid communication. They know that they, can always reach out to me if they have a question. I'm not, there's no reason to, berate anyone or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, hey, this is what this is, and keep moving, learn from it. So I think that is, what we focus on client-wise, what we focus on with our inspectors is train them very, very well. One thing in the military I saw is this, what was this? There's a good saying, so in the heat of battle, right? You're not going to, rise to the occasion. You're going to sink to your level of training, right? So, and I've seen that time and time again. Yeah, I've seen, when bullets are flying and things are getting very serious. I've seen people, very, very rarely will someone be like, I got this and figure it out on the fly. But more often than not is individuals are just going to revert to what they know. They're going to go straight to their muscle memory and then execute from there. So we've taken that, with our inspectors, and you kind of overlaid it, right? So it's like everyone does everything the exact same way. We SOP wise, yep. Right? So if I walk in an hour late to an inspection, not that I do, but I can walk in and I know exactly where he's at in his process. I can jump in and support him. No questions asked. I don't have to, there's not a conversation. I just know where I need to go and get to work. And, same thing goes with our, with our clients, and with our agents. Everyone understands that we're going to be, able to replicate our service every time. So our agents know and trust us because of that. Yeah. And that buys us, dividends and referrals down the road. So,
well, and I love the idea of SOPs being so widely understood that, you have a shorthand with each other, and it's the efficiency for the customers is a wonderful thing, but the piece for you is, I think it's unique for businesses because I think not enough of them have SOPs. We actually, and Miller will probably look over here and go, yep, we've got those. And we're still dialing them in. Yeah. I was anti-SOP for years. I'm like, we're creatives, man. We can feel our way there. I mean, no, we actually can't. Not if we're going to be scalable. And that's actually the cost in our business. You lose efficiency in time if you're going to let the ether input into you the creative moment so you can give the gift of creativity to your client. It's very like, you should probably smoke a lot in order to accomplish that version of it. And the SOP side of things, we can still be wildly creative. Yeah. But it's far more efficient to know that this foot goes in front of that foot. And we never knew that until far more recently. I mean, I've been in this business 25 years. And I think we've been playing with SOPs for like less than 5. Yeah. And so it's good to hear. And of course, I'm a civvy for life, grateful civvy, by the way. And I didn't have that point of view. So it's cool to hear it from you. It kind of makes me feel like I need to get a little bit better at it.
No, I think you highlight a good point, right? It's not a set it and forget it. Like we do, kind of like an SOP refinement at least once a year. Yeah. Military, it's way more often than that. Is, hey, are we doing things the right way? And where can we get leaner? Where can we get more efficient? And it's just good, get all the right people, all the decision makers in the room. Yeah. And everyone needs to come in with that thick skin and just, hey, bottom up feedback can sting sometimes, but it's important.
Well, and a lot of industries are moving targets too. I know in our side, video podcast production, the release is all happening out in, YouTube, which changes the rules anytime they want to. The podcast industry shifts all the time. Yeah. Social media, you can never keep a finger on it unless you're right on top of it. And I think for your industry, I know laws and codes change. And so what you're required to flag or not flag and interact with in relation to what's permissible in a building has to be a moving target.
It is, especially our biggest moving target is the insurance industry.
I'll bet.
And speaking of moving targets, like the two standardized forms for Florida are changing.
Oh, really?
We're probably going to see a new 4-point standard come out, and then a new wind mitigation form come out this year. So there's going to be, and it's good changes, things that need to happen.
Now, is that going to affect you both from like knowing what to fill out, but also maybe some of your technology? Because you seem very technologically integrated.
Yeah. So automate everything. If you're a business owner, automate everything.
I love watching you in action because everything, you literally have the entire platform on your phone. Yes. That was super cool.
Yep. We try to keep everything just as user friendly for the client, but also user friendly for our inspectors. Right.
Yeah.
And the more that you can automate, the better.
Yeah.
I've learned one of my bigger lessons learned in the last year is get out of my own way.
Tell me more.
So we hired a marketing company to come in, and it's the owner in me where I just want to be involved in some decisions, or like, hey, let's go this way with things. And, the marketing company telling me, hey, like, it's probably better if we go this way. And me just not understanding or seeing why. And multiple emails where I'm just like, all right. And it was a deliberate decision. I was like, I'm going to trust them, and I need to get out of my own way.
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify, as with anything, but the numbers, speak for themselves. So it's
awesome.
It's like, okay, hey, you've proven yourself. I'll let you guys run the ball.
That's cool. I like that.
It's a cool thing to see, but also it was a good lesson for me to learn that, especially in the perspective of scaling, right?
Yeah.
Is, you can't be the sole person, in charge of everything, making all the shots, right? Or all the decisions. So, being able to power down, I had another really good leader in the military, and he had this go-to saying all the time when talking about subordinate leadership, or junior leadership. And like,
yep.
don't power off, power them on. So, you're going to power them off if you're micromanaging, right?
Right.
Saying, hey, like, you need to do it X, Y, Z. Nope. You need to come back, do it this way. Instead of just being focused on the outcome, right? Let them figure out how they want to get from point A to point B, right? As long as they get to point B when you tell them that they need to be at point B.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that allows, there's feedback there. There's ways that they can do things better, but then that's how they're going to develop and learn as an individual. But being really more, outcome focused, versus, the how, right? Or how are you going to do it? Like, hey, I just do it. Right. That book I was telling you about, Speed of Trust, that's a big one, focuses on that as well. So.
Well, it's a book I may have to read. I like that. Yeah. So that's interesting. So when you said power off, or power down rather, so you're choosing yourself to power down while you're powering them up. So you're less in the micromanagement mode, more in a mentorship mode?
Correct. So powering them on, like power them on, don't power them off. Right.
Right. Right.
So, you're going to empower them by giving them, your left and right limit, right? Saying, hey, go in between here, however you want to do it. But like, here's my restriction, and allowing them the ability to make decisions, but also being ready to, lead with grace when they don't make the right decision. Right.
Right.
Because, they may not.
Is there room to learn from failure in the military?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's 99% of the military.
Fair.
Like, well, that didn't work. But absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's, obviously there's some red lines that you can't cross.
Sure.
But yeah, like, that was one thing that I really focus on as a senior leader is your relative normal. The best way I can describe this is, your relative normal, right? When you first started to drive a car, right? Everything is like, it is overwhelming, right?
Sure,
like you're
totally.
10 and 2, cars are whizzing by you and you haven't even left the neighborhood yet. Like you're just trying to make, a correct stop and then, turn left, whatever. Then fast forward 5 years and you're on the interstate and you're driving with your knees. You got your phone in the hand, you got your coffee and
you're putting ketchup on a hot dog at the same time. Yeah.
But you see everything, right? You see the cars behind you, you see where you need to go. You're safe-ish, right? Driving with your knees, you can only be so safe, but,
don't try this at home.
But that's the perspective, right? Is that you see way more when your relative normal is way up here.
Got it.
Okay. So same thing in the military is that, your first exposure to like, high stress events, et cetera, they're stressful, right? But your 100th exposure to a high stress event, it's not stressful anymore. It's just another day at the office. So increasing your relative threshold, you have to train to a point of failure.
Sure.
Right. So in the military, it's very common, you're going to train to failure at points, and it's okay. I think that's as a leader, I'd rather see you fail in training.
Yeah, of course.
Than anywhere else. Right. I want you to learn
some of those situations are life and death.
Exactly. I want you to learn those hard lessons when, the only one paying the cost is you.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe some of your subordinates, physically, but no one's dead.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's really important to always kind of reassess yourself as an individual, your company, as an organization, being like, hey, what's our relative normal? Where's our breaking point? Where's our threshold? And if you want to scale, if you want to get more efficient, you want to get better at what you're doing, you have to push yourself towards those breaking points and be like, okay, like a little stress test, right?
Yeah.
And be like, okay, yeah, that didn't work out very well. Let's regroup. Let's refine our SOPs. Let's figure out where we need to get leaner so we can pass that threshold next time, and it's not going to be an issue.
And you're applying all of this thinking, I'm sure, in tier one then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe not as, I guess, directly or specifically.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, just that's my approach to leadership or organizational culture and structure. So I think a lot of that just bleeds over naturally, just like, hey, I know this works, so this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, so. Of course. Well, but it doesn't mean you can't teach people. I mean, if that type of go learn on your own, and find your own way thing was devoid of the opportunity to just say, hey, I can teach you this.
Yeah.
Then I think that would actually be a massive step backwards, because some things you can just say, hey, if you put this on top of that, suddenly it'll balance. If you do it the other way around, everything will fall down. See, that's a teachable moment. So, but there's just so many things that if you aren't let down the road a little bit to learn on your own, that you'll never internalize, from the failure, how things really work. And we talk about it all the time. I mean, entrepreneurship in general, you're supposed to fail quick, fail cheap, and then learn from that failure so that the next iteration is somehow better than the first one. And iterate towards greatness is what I was drilled into me when I was getting my MBA, which is all in technology entrepreneurship. The crowd that is the startup crowd, they know that their first idea is definitely their worst idea, and somehow they have funding for it. And so their eventual big money maker will hearken maybe to the original idea, but it will have had micro and maybe macro pivots along the way. But they've got to fail quick in each of those things and fail as cheaply as possible so they can survive to the next iteration. So you just iterate towards greatness. And I think that's actionable for anybody in any role in any business. If you can just keep iterating towards greatness with the right attitude, you could be a lifelong employee who's driving great value.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's a good point. Iterate towards greatness is, there's so many parallels there in the military and the business world, just with, repetition. Repetition is key, no matter what you're doing, whether you're rolling out a new service, new skill set, whatever, or a new part of your business, is that if you haven't put it through, the test multiple times and tried to break it yourself, your clients are going to be the first ones to tell you, like, hey, this is garbage.
Yeah.
So I think, it's been quite a journey going from the military to the business world, but it's fun. There's days when I'm just like, what am I doing?
From somebody who's a serial entrepreneur, and I've had more businesses than I probably should have, that is always going to happen. Yeah. And it's just part of the journey, man. So you go, am I really sane? Did I make a good decision?
Sometimes I think I like pain, but
but it's like Russian stoicism where the children don't even cry. They're all entrepreneurs. Yeah, but
it's been very rewarding.
That's cool.
In the business journey. So
has this become your hobby, or do you do things outside of tier one?
No, this is prevented hobbies.
Well, right. Well, and so people ask me sometimes like, hey, what do you do for your spare time? And it's like, outside of parenting, like, what's spare time? I don't get that. Like, but I'm addicted to this. Like, I love the journey of entrepreneurship and I love what we do. So I don't know that I need a hobby. Like, I grill, but I haven't figured out master grilling techniques. Like, I can marinate the heck out of a piece of meat because it's passive, put it in the juice and walk away, but I'm not tending to the smoker all weekend as I get ready for my championship grilling. There's stuff to do. And so I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs don't have hobbies because their journey in entrepreneurship, whether they like it or not, is their hobby. Yeah. So as long as you're having fun, I think that's good. Are you enjoying the journey? Yeah. Yeah.
I think, you get addicted to like, the hunt, right? Like, it's like the challenge.
Right.
And how can I make this bigger, better, faster? And it's like, we're in our 4th year and I'm like, why are we not making millions yet?
Right,
so like
right.
that is, I think the hardest thing for me is just like, one, we've had, when you look in hindsight, like substantial growth in the time we've been open. But the competitor in me is just like, why is this taking so long? Like, why are you not sold this already? So because of that competitive mindset, for me, I think makes me really it's hard for me to switch my brain off of what this company is. Right. So hobbies have gone to the wayside. And, my wife, she's been extremely supportive, but we've been really focusing on like, hey, like we need to actually make sure we're shutting off when we need to shut off from work and focusing more on just, I guess work-life balance, if that's a thing.
Well, it really isn't as an entrepreneur, but I'll tell you, like, I have the benefit, like your kids are older. Yeah. So mine are not. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a range, right? 6 to 16. They're forcing me to not think about business because I have to go into full parent mode. Yeah. So I don't actually have to be intentional the way I think you guys probably do, because you're not quite empty nesters, right?
Not yet. My daughter's getting ready. She'll head off to college this fall. So
freaky, right?
Then we'll be empty nesters.
Right. So at that point, I mean, I'm sure she's independent enough as a young woman that you're not, fixing her dinner every night.
No, it's more of like sporting events, just nonstop all the time.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's cool to see. So right now she's in water polo, but she plays soccer and water polo.
Wow. Endurance sports.
And she loves it. So, and water polo, it's been cool. It's like she kind of, came into that on her own.
Really?
I grew up playing soccer. Her brother played soccer. Everyone plays soccer. Right.
Right. I lasted for a half season.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. So much running. Like, why would you put the fat kid up front? I was the fat kid, right? I'm the goalie. I block more than anybody else. I'm sizable and I'm no longer fat, but anyhow.
No, she kind of went on her own journey, found water polo, and she really loved it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting to watch.
Will she play any of that in college?
Intramural, probably.
Yeah.
She wants to try. She committed to FSU, so she'll be heading there this fall, and then she wants to try out for their intramural team.
Good for her. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's been a journey for sure. So I think I've been spending more time recently trying to, on the business side, define what my end state is, right? What is, it's a big term in the military, but like what's your outcome, right?
Yeah.
What's your exit strategy? That's what they'll say in the civilian world.
Yep.
And for me, like, this isn't a forever thing. Like this was when I started this company, in the back of my mind, and what I told everyone was like, hey, this is a 10-year plan.
Okay.
So now I'm, 6 years out from that.
Interestingly, this is a little bit, but not far ahead from what business brokers tell people to do. Like if you've got a 10-year plan and you're 5 years in, that's actually when business brokers go, yeah, we need to talk now. Because there is a series of benchmark moves you can make to maximize the value, but also ensure the health of the business once it sells. So for you and the eventual purchaser of your business, it's mutually assured success if you start sowing those seeds now. So you're really probably only a year to 2 years away from having, pretty healthy critical conversations with business brokers to make sure that Tier 1 Pro Inspections 50 years from now is owned by the right person, thriving and thrilled that you were giving them the gift of this business while you're sitting there going, and I got paid really well.
Yeah, that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of laying the groundwork for that, having some conversations with, some good mentors.
Yeah.
That's another good piece of advice is, find a mentor.
Yeah.
Ideally 3 mentors.
Really? 3?
Yeah.
Now, with your mentors, do they know they're officially of mentor status, or do you just see them as such?
No, I talk to them so they know that I value their opinion.
Okay. All right. That's fair. But
no, I think
like if you name dropped them right now as your mentors, would they be like, I'm your mentor?
No, I don't want the ego to get too big.
Okay. That's good. Keep them in check. Yeah. Keep those mentors in check.
But I think it's important because, it was another piece of advice I got and applied it. And it's actually been really good is you should have a mentor in your field, in your industry. You should have a mentor outside of your industry, right? Or slight or outside completely. And then your third one should be like a correlated industry, right? Something that like a real estate service industry, right? So if you have 3 of perspectives when you're, you want a sounding board and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Or I think this is a good idea. Getting those 3 perspectives from 3 very different lenses, right?
Yep.
It's been very helpful for me. Just being like, okay, yeah, that was a stupid idea. Just disregard that one.
Right.
Or
but
being
also
like,
be
no,
a
I think
great
this
verification.
Is a good idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
so when you've got the good one, or maybe you need that 1-degree pivot, a guy I know who's never shot a gun, but uses a sniper analogy all the time, is talking about just the geometry of, if you're 1,000 yards plus away from a target and you're 1 degree off, you're, incredibly far off of hitting the mark. Oh, yeah. But if your idea is 1 degree off, you're also only 1 degree away from hitting the mark on a major idea. So if you just think about the geometry of being 1,000 yards away from an incredible endpoint for an idea, sometimes that 1 degree pivot's everything.
Yeah.
So your mentors could be offering you your 1 degree pivot, and that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to capture that idea. But yeah, it's been a journey for sure. So
yeah, I'm going to look into the camera right now and just say, hey, Bella and my daughter, if you're watching this show, I just use geometry. It has value, really. God, just pulling teeth.
I told you.
Right? Yeah. It's like pulling teeth, getting her to value geometry. She did okay in her class, but oh my Lord. So when am I ever going to use this? In a podcast.
Yeah. However many years.
I used it once. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good. Like I said, I don't know where I'll be in 10 years. But I'm
not sure that you need to know because you're living pretty intentionally regardless.
Yeah. But like, I would say like one thing, I don't know where I'll be or where this company will be in 10 years, but I do know like I'll still be involved in like the business space, one way or the other.
Yeah, I can tell.
So
how many houses are you going to own by then?
In 10 years, we should be at 20.
All right.
That's the goal.
So that's your pace?
Yes. That's where we want to be. We want to be at 20.
I've told this story a lot, and it's been on the show a couple of times. My grandmother, when she passed, had 81 rental properties.
That's huge.
That was enormous. And she had a small empire, and it sustained all of the generations behind her. She left quite a legacy, but it was all in, it's not really passive income when you manage your own doors, and she managed her own doors.
Oh, wow. It's a full-time job with that many doors.
Very full-time. Yeah. It was hard, actually. She should have delegated in retrospect. She definitely should have either had employees or hired a management company. But regardless, there's an incredible wealth to be built in a healthy property management portfolio.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the key to the, just kind of long-term wealth in a way. Or financial independence. So build what you can, and then buy what you can, and let it all mature.
I think Roy Rogers said, buy land, they ain't making it anymore.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So here in Florida, they're building everywhere. So
it's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. I was just, I've moved to St. Cloud, and I just saw on a report 2 days ago that St. Cloud is the number 3 location in Central Florida for people to relocate to. And I was thinking, wow, well, all of Florida is quite a place to relocate to. And if we're in the number 3 location, that means our population is about to double. Yeah. It's hard to believe how fast apartments go up here.
Oh, it's impressive.
Yeah.
There's a ton of growth here in Central Florida.
And a lot to inspect.
That's, been very beneficial for, our market space for sure.
Well, what I find interesting about your market space too is, you don't need new builds to inspect, because every time there's a transaction happening, there's a new party coming in who doesn't have all the details, and you must verify the condition of the property. So the inspections could be done 100 times on the same property over the life of the property, because the rules are just there. You got to check.
Exactly. I mean, you can always, assume the risk of not inspecting a property, but
super dumb.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, terrible idea. Yep.
So yeah, definitely always get your properties inspected. I'm not just saying that to make a dollar, but
yeah,
sure.
If we don't hire you, hire somebody competent and just don't get yourself in trouble.
If you don't hire me, just message me. I'll tell you who to hire.
That's right. Good luck with those termites, baby. Holy cow! Yeah, scary stuff.
But yeah, it's definitely plenty of work going to go around.
So it's still a good industry to be in. I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Sean, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being as just really open about everything from your transition into civilian life and all the ideas and the way you operate in your business. I think it's the whole show here is about being instructive for fellow entrepreneurs, people who are maybe new on the journey. I've started expanding my description to people who know and love entrepreneurs. You really need your family to understand what you're doing and what you're facing, and maybe be able to have some ideas with you. So this show has become for them too.
Yeah.
And so you've spent, I don't even know how long we've been going here, but Miller's over there yawning, so it must have been a while. But yeah, I mean, you're pouring into a really cool population. So I appreciate you coming here.
Very cool. Well, thanks for the invite.
Oh, absolutely. And we can do it again. If you have an idea, you have a topic, come on over and we'll throw a camera on. So, hey, unicorns, you know the drill. Next episode, I don't know who's going to be on, but I promise you it's going to be somebody of value, because you know the mission. We just went over what the mission of this show is. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, it's Bootstrapped Unicorns Entrepreneurship and Marketing Group. The barrier to entry is low. There's a couple of questions just to verify that you're on some kind of an entrepreneurial journey. Please self-restrain. Don't sell in there. I try not to sell in there. It's iron sharpening iron. It's been a little quiet the last couple of weeks, actually. So I'm going to try to stoke the fires, but you can join and stoke the fires with us. And we're talking about what it means to own businesses, operate businesses, questions about the economy, whatever you want to talk about relevant to doing business in this world. We can talk about it in there, and we'll help each other get better in the journey. So again, I'm Josh Pies. This is Bootstrapped Unicorns, and you've been listening to us quite a long time. Why don't you go get back to work?